welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Upsurge Minor League Week 6. My name is Orbital. I'm joined here by Jacket. How you doing today, sir?
Doing very well. Thank you for that lovely intro. Excited to see the game today between Wulfpack Exiled and Team Solid here. Should be a very exciting game.
Yeah, it is going to be very exciting specifically because we are actually having this is week number 6 right now, and both teams are currently sitting at 4-1 at the top of their group. So again, battling for that first place scenario and trying to see if they can, break out and be that all-star to get that first place going into playoffs.
And that's exactly what you want if you're these teams, right? Is you are in this position, you want to keep that push going and show the other teams how dominant you can be. 4-1 already, a significantly powerful looking record, and to push that to 5-1 really just puts you at the top of the bracket.
Yeah, going real quick down the standings in the Cloud Division, we do have Wulfpack, Exiled, and Team Solid both sitting at 4-1. GCU sitting at 4-1 as well, trailing the pack, battling it out in the 4th and 5th position. Our world-class Galaxy and Payasos, I believe. And then, unfortunately, at the very bottom of the pack, we do have at 1-4 each. We have Triple Buff Vision, TFT Supreme, and Elion Gaming. So once again, we are still waiting for those two top teams to break out. So whoever wins this one, if GCU is able to win their match as well, we have a potential for a tie at the end of the season.
Could be really exciting. I know a lot of the time tiebreaker games can be super make or break, a lot of nerves, a lot of expectations, really just kind of having to throw everything on the table and see if you can meet them. I'm really excited here, especially to see how these two teams today perform, because as you mentioned, this is momentum, this is inspiration, really just letting the team know what to expect and showing the other teams how much strength you have going into it.
Yeah, so this is going to be very interesting as we go ahead and start to get into the draft. We're waiting on both teams to kick it off. And again, looking at it, we did have a patch come out, I believe, this week. And again, minor tweaks here and there to a couple champions. Most notably, obviously, is the rise of the Kog'Maw potentially in the mid lane, but we'll have to see how that goes. Again, Galio Varus automatically taken off the table so far.
Yeah, no surprise there. Galio, a huge pick for Team Solid. We've seen both the mid laner and support players pick it, especially in the case of Your Move, their mid laner. He has tons of Galio games, a 60% win rate on it in solo queue, and Varus, with his poke build, has been dominant both in pro play and solo queue.
Yeah, and looking at the bans, I mean, these are coming out fast and furious. Hecarim and Set also taken off the table, and then the Zed Callista ban. So a little bit off the cuff, I feel. A lot of these champions are not meta staples, and yet they are warranting those bans because they are feared by the people that might play them.
Without a doubt, these are comfort picks for the enemy teams. You see the junglers with Hecarim and Set especially, such a powerful flex pick. You can see him in almost every position except for AD carry, if need be. And in terms of the Zed, we know that the mid laner for Wulfpack is a huge playmaker. Sheeta here loves Zed, loves Echo, loves Kiana, likes those flashy playmaking champions. And so seeing that banned away, really not a surprise.
Yeah, and so automatically we do see the pickup of the J4 and the Ezreal. So J4 being a staple. Again, not the strongest jungler, but again, still one of the few that brings a lot of potential to the table. On the flip side, for Team Solid, we do see the Ezreal and Thresh. So Ezreal opting instead of the Yumi or another Enchanter support. We are looking at the more engage and disengage champion of the Thresh in that bottom lane.
And I definitely like to see what each team is picking here. You can see it's a nice mix of what's super in the meta right now, what they're comfortable with for the sake of AD carries. We're not seeing an Aphelios right now, which is very surprising to me. But neither AD carry on either team has that many games on Aphelios. The only one with any is AD Casey on the side of Wulfpack. And even then, seems to prefer the Misfortune, the Zaya, to those picks.
Yeah, not only that, Aphelios did get hit with possibly a decent nerf in the last patch. Again, removing about 30% extra bonus attack damage off of that Moonlight Vigil. So, have to see how that plays out in the future to see if they decide to pick up the champion. But again, as we do fall through, again, Nautilus Misfortune for World Pack Exile. They have locked in their bottom lane as well as their jungle. On the flip side, we do have the bottom lane and mid lane locked in for Team Solid. So we're starting to see some top lane bans and potential jungle bans coming out of Wulfpack Exiled.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I really love how these team comps are shaping up already. You can see that there's objectives in mind, especially on the side of Wulfpack. This is such a traditional looking wombo combo team already starting to form around this misfortune.
Yeah, and a really good way to disrupt that wombo combo is simply take one away. Mordekaiser is locked in. That Realm of Death will definitely be a possibility to keep the Misfortune J4 or whatever mid lane is going to be coming out of Wolfpack Exiled. So a very nice pick, siege, and disengage composition coming out on Team Solid side.
The one problem there is it does unfortunately already stick them with the top laner. Mordekaiser used to be able to be a bit of a flex. You could see him mid lane, you could see him top lane. They've even made some jungle buffs to him, so you could potentially see him there. But so far, we know the top laner for Team Solid has a lot of games on Mordekaiser. Very likely it's going to be in his hands. And Kiana actually coming out for the sake of Shido, which I'm very excited to see. Just again, one more component to that ability to wombo combo.
Yeah, we actually have noticed that Kiana is actually Rumble. That was an unfortunate
Ooh,
little accident coming out of the project, as we do know and love. So that is going to be Rumble and Yasuo locked in here for Wolfpack Exile to round out those solo lanes. Gonna be aggressive in the mid and top lane, depending where either of those go.
yeah, and taking that aside, still standing by that, the ultimates are all very impactful. You have the Nautilus to set up the Yasuo's ultimate. You have J4 with his flag and drag. And again, as you mentioned, both Rumble and Yasuo, very flexible picks. You can see them in the top lane, you can see them in the mid lane. And so right now, if your team's solid, you have to be thinking where they're going to go. Even just little changes like what resistances you take in your runes they can have a huge difference on the game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. These guys, it will be yet to see if these two champions are able to take off and if they're able to make an impact. Because again, the Yasuo is definitely a do or die champion.
Yeah,
Rumble as well can definitely fall behind very quickly. So we'll have to see how that one plays. Trundle though locked in the last position. So what do you think? Wolfpack Exiled obviously picking the J4 first, but Team Solid leaving their counterpick jungle all the way till the end.
I really like the idea of Trundle here. We've seen a good Trundle player can easily disrupt an enemy team, especially a Jarvan 4, a well-placed pillar, stopping that EQ combo. And not only that, his ultimate, always taking away those tanky stats and giving them to himself. Team Solid had a bit of a front line through Mordekaiser, a bit of one in Thresh, but now you have the Trundle. If their Nautilus ultimates, if he activates that Aftershock, suddenly he becomes an easy target for Trundle's ultimate, get all his resistances stolen, and next thing you know, you're going to have a super tank and Trundle running at your team.
Mhm. Yeah, that's always a terrifying thought, right? You ever see a mallet hit like a truck? That's pretty much what it is. Just a giant club running at you. So we'll have to see how that one plays out. Now looking towards that mid lane, because we see the Corki and the Mordekaiser, it is assumed that Corki is in the mid lane. But with a Rumble and Yasuo both on the table, that does mean that the Mordekaiser and Corki can also be flexed. So, in your opinion, where do you see these solo lane matches going?
I still imagine it will be a Rumble top and a Yasuo mid lane. Again, as we mentioned, Sheeta very oriented towards this playmaking champions. Would not be a big surprise if Yasuo would be within that pool of them. Additionally, Yasuo and the Mordekaiser, not super great. You get in his ultimate, you're stuck in the Shadow Realm. Suddenly there's no minions to dash to. You're just stuck with one big metal man and his giant mallet.
Yeah, double mallets, just bopping people on the head, having a little bit of fun at the whack-a-mole. We do see the Rumble versus Mordekaiser in that top lane, going to be AP versus AP. So that does mean the Yasuo versus the Corki in the mid lane, again, going to be very interesting to see. And you have that tried and true, knock up ultimate coming out of the J4 and Yasuo. So do you think this is going to cause some problems for the Corki Trundle, or do you see your move and Greggy being able to kind of outplay and outmaneuver this duo?
It's super difficult to outplay. As we mentioned, the pillar can interrupt, but timing that takes a lot of skill, a lot of patience as well to wait it out and know when to use it correctly. And Yasuo J4, even before level 6, have such strong skirmishing potential, whereas that Corki wants to play safe, play scale. We've even infamously seen it in the Corki Azir meta. All they do is sit back, farm and wait till their spikes, whereas Yasuo was able to do that from the get-go.
Yeah, that's always one for the books. I'm interested to see what they can pull out and how they're going to be able to win that lane. And again, we do see, again, just some bans thrown out here. The Aatrox and Volibear, we weren't able to touch on that. Multiple top lane bans were thrown in that second round ban phase. So taking a look here, now we get to take a look at this bottom lane, the Ezreal and Thresh versus Misfortune and Nautilus. My question coming out is, again, these are two kind of overly aggressive bot lanes. Not much is left in keeping this the ADC safe. Do you see this being a volatile lane, or do you see this being fairly even between the two squads?
I see this as super volatile. Whichever AD carry starts to get that lead will just snowball almost out of control. If Misfortune is able to get it to start, she'll be able to harass Ezreal easily, out-trade him, out-duel him, and her ultimate is so impactful in those team fights. And especially with this Nautilus, as soon as they hit level 6, look for those ultimates together, because once you get the Riptide knocking Ezreal up into the air, he can't move even if he buffers his Arcane Shift. Misfortune just needs to step up, use her bullet time a bit further, and can almost 100 to 0 this Ezreal.
Yeah, that's definitely a scary thought as well. Hey, you're an ADC, I'm an ADC. I burst like a mage at points, so good luck. So very good point to make. We'll have to keep track of the Misfortune and the Nautilus are able to make some plays and be able to take control of that game from the bottom side towards that mid to late. However, you do have to think, again, this is a squad that doesn't want to allow the Wombo combo to go off. So Team Solid definitely looking like they're trying to go for that dancing around the side. So do you think they've hit their requirements for the win conditions to be executed, or do you still see some issues there?
I see a wonderful team comp for that purpose. You have the Mordekaiser, as you mentioned. Any single one of those targets, Rumble hasn't dropped his equalizer, you take him out. Yasuo hasn't gone his last breath yet, take him out. MF starts her ultimate, take her out. It's just one thing after another. You can take out any single priority target that you want. If they don't have a QSS, they're stuck there. Trundle, very easy to interrupt Misfortune ultimate with that pillar. Additionally, Corki and Ezreal both have that mobility. They can try to get to safety. And the Thresh as well, for the sake of Peel, he's got his Lantern. Just one thing after another to try and counter that. And as we mentioned, the Trundle ultimate even if they start to get stuck in there, if the Nautilus or the J4 gets too anxious, too trigger happy, as it were, suddenly they'll have no resistances and just get shredded by this team.
Yeah, watching a team get shredded is not fun. So if you were to see on both sides, do you think the Wombo combo is going to win out here, or are you still favored? It does sound like you're favored towards the Team Solid squad. I mean, who do you have coming out, in a strong position in this first game?
Ironically, I do really like Wulfpack Exiled. I am very much so of the philosophy that it's much easier to have everybody hit an R button than it is to play around everybody hitting that R button.
That's true, yeah. Absolutely. I have to agree with you, but we will be going to a short break as we do get a word from one of our sponsors, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with game number 1 between Wulfpack Exiled and Team Solid. Don't go anywhere.
Started with a vision. A vision of quality, a vision of uniformity. We took the time to create something familiar yet refreshing, something with a bit of change.
Designed to fit any brand's unique vision.
All right, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to game number 1 with Wulfpack, Exiled, and Team Solid. Wulfpack, Exiled are on your blue side. We have Shane23 in the top lane, FER Miracle in that jungle, Cheetah in the mid lane, AD Casey in that ADC role, and DND in the support role.
On the red side, we've got JLU in the top lane, Greggy jungle, Your Move in the mid lane, Triple Lift is AD carry, and the Silent carry support. And I'm going to be quiet because we see an invade right now.
Yes, we do. We see a little bit of a walk in, but a very nice walk around. Nice little hook does go out. But again, they don't really have as much CC as you would hope, but taken extremely low. And he gets ignited as well, is going to just barely survive. They might actually try and dive this. This would actually be very, very entertaining. They're trying to look for it. He's getting dope, but that's going to be one more. The pike does miss, and Shane has to walk away. He's down at about 10 HP as well, and a flash away means no one dies, but multiple summoner spells are lost. So a good aggression does pull flash out of JLU, but the responding teleport plus summoner's loss means, honestly, I think Team Solid just came out with a win there.
Without a doubt, you can even see D&D here on the side of blue. Doesn't have time to go back to base. He's popping his health potions as we speak, and you have to wonder, was there some kind of miscommunication? We saw him begin to tank, but the other members hesitated to go in, and that led to JLU surviving and multiple summoner spells having to be blown.
Yeah, that's just not good in that favor. Again, yes, you want the kill, but you have to understand Ignite is scaling, right? It takes some time for it to do that massive amount of 300, 400 damage that you normally sometimes see, or even more so, but we do see a hook in this bottom lane as well. So already, the aggression popping up from both squads because of that early invade, it looks like every single lane is going to try and look for a little bit of an advantage.
And we can see right now, Greggy already off to a strong jungle clear start. He's already on his blue buff. That's about to be double buffs taken. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see an early gank here from him, whether it's mid lane or bot lane. Doubt there's going to be anything there, though. They are pushing up rather hard, but even having your jungler shadow you like that can give you so much more confidence. And look at that ward. Ping's going out immediately. They know where the jungler is, and they're actually going to try and find him at this red buff, it looks like. Oh.
Maybe not. Looks like, again, just tracking the J4, not letting him get that level 3 gank off is a very smart move on the side of Team Solid. Again, tracking the jungler does give Greggy a little bit more time to farm up on this Trundle. And to try and dance it out, again, some teams going down onto the Raptor camp, we might see a little bit of a dance there. We do see Miracle going very low. He does have to flash away. Is going to stay alive. And again, very nice run out already with Team Solid getting some proactive moves.
And I'd love to see this right now. Is look, also Sheeta going aggressive. Grady's in the wings.
Yep, Windball does go out just to stifle that engage, but already Greggy is exerting pressure in every single lane that he has gone to.
And he's moving towards a Scuttle Crab. Miracle is going to get that in time, but I really like what Team Solid is looking for here. They're looking for those early aggressive moves to take advantage of the fact that there was that failed dive so early on, and you can already see how that's affecting the jungler of Wulfpack.
Yeah, it's not fun at all. He is being shut down, and again, you do have to look at J4 to be one of those big playmakers, right? That's why you picked the champion. That's why it was first pick. That's why they gave it such top priority. They gave up the Ezreal and Thresh for this specific reason. So again, if you're not able to make a play on this J4, that's one man down, and that's a huge engage tool that Wulfpack will not have.
Undoubtedly, he's already starting to fall behind someone in the clear. Greggy already getting his back off. Trundle, so much more mobility getting around that jungle. And as you mentioned, you need that J4 to be your front line. So if he falls too far behind, if he's not able to make those ganks that he needs to make, you are going to have problems as the game goes on.
Yes, big changes coming in here already. Some poke going down top lane, going fairly even. We do see a hook actually landing onto Triple Lift, as we do see the hail of bullets coming down just to get some slow and poke. But again, that is going to cost ADKC quite a bit of mana, down to about a fourth.
Yeah, and we know that Ezreal likes to have presence of mind, likes to take that mana flow band, going to have much more mana sustain than ADKC, but what a hook!
Oh, that is some spaghetti code coming out as Triple Lift now trying to run away. No flash to follow as the heal does come out, and he's able to save his flash. So hefty win coming out for ADKC and D&D.
And right now, though, Greggy looking to return an advantage by getting this Infernal Drake, and they don't suspect a thing on the side of Wulfpack.
No, they do not. That's going to be Infernal Dragon. First dragon taken off the table, so a very nice win for the carries coming out of Team Solid. Next one is going to be the Ocean Dragon, so that is going to be either a Mountain or Cloud Soul that we get to see on the Rift today.
And Cloud, if that is what pops up, is going to be so much more important for the side of Wulfpack to get. After all we mentioned, this is a team that wants to stack their ultimates up constantly to teamfight as much as possible. But if the enemy team is the one that takes that, you still have that full ultimate cooldown, where meanwhile, the opposing team is going to have heavily reduced cooldowns, get that move speed, have much more mobility, and make your jobs a whole lot harder.
Yeah, now I have to pose the question to you, right? Do you allow, as Wulfpack Exiled, to take two dragons, Team Solid to allow them to take two dragons and then aim for 40% extra CDR? Or do you fight for the early dragons?
Without a doubt, you want to fight for those early dragons, because then you risk giving that enemy team the soul for free, right? Once those two dragons are down, they just need two more. And while it would be awesome as, you know, say a Yasuo would have a 40% CDR, imagine how low that last breath cooldown is going to be. But the risk you run from the enemy team having an Infernal, an Ocean, and then two Cloud Drakes on top of that is much higher than the return of getting that 40% CDR on your ultimate.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, remember that the Cloud Dragon CDR actually stacks on top of regular CDR, so that's even scarier, right? That's what you're talking about, the 45 plus potential 40, but again, most that we'll probably see is about 30, I think. So we'll have to see how that one works. Again, mid lane, being danced around as best they can. Sheeta slowly building a minor CS lead. That's what you want to see out of a Yasuo. Even though he's been pressured down, getting and keeping a little bit of a gold lead will help him hit that mid to late game power spike.
Yeah, that's super well played by Sheeta. He's a melee character into a ranged matchup, but he's still holding his ground. He's playing very safe. You can see here he has his control ward bot side. He's sticking towards that side of the map. And Greggy, we actually just saw an invade though on his, and he stole the blue buff away from Miracle. And now he's so low on mana, he's being forced to go back to base. So the jungler on the side of Team Solid, still on the map, still looking around for plays. We see him coming bot lane.
Yeah, and here we go. A little bit of a going out. Nice hook onto D&D. He gets ignited. He gets pulled. He gets dragged right back into the pit. That's going to be an easy pickup first blood going over to Greggy.
And that does require Greggy to flash. He gets ignited by D&D, but after all you mentioned, D&D goes down, Summoner down as well. Very well executed gank by Greggy.
Yeah, a little bit of a fight in that mid lane. One more rocket takes him down to about 10 HP. So Cheetah dancing on the brink of death, and your move holding out in that mid lane.
Miracle is here though, but we see Silent Carry coming for the roam as well. He's just now being spotted on the ward. I actually don't even know if they saw him. He's right in a perfect position. No, he's getting pinged out. They know he's there. Cheetah is backing off, and Miracle actually might be going on him here.
Yeah, they might look for it, but no one else is there. I don't know if they actually want to test this. Cheetah's walking around with about 200 HP. That's going to be the shield being broken. Might dance through the flash. No! It got blocked by the wind wall. An unfortunate circumstance. That wall is a little bit thicker than you'd expect, and that's going to be a failed flash attempt by Silent Carry.
Forget objectives. That's a little bit of mental warfare dropping down there on the map. Flash, hook, wind wall behind you is going to block that. Rift Herald is up though. They have control of the top side of the map. Cheetah still has not gone back. Your move already has taken that back. He has a package to get around faster. See if he will pick that up. Yes, he does. They could look for this here. We might see Greggy even go for something on the top side, potentially waiting for your move. Gonna clear that vision out.
Yeah, and here we go. Shane does have flash available. The pillar does section him off. He is gonna flash over the pillar. Gonna try and dance his way back, but no one else is on that top side. So again, Greggy just walking lane to lane, getting flashes and getting pressure down.
And we're seeing such beautiful vision control here on the side of Team Solid. Look at this topside river. 3 different control wards throughout the river and the enemy jungle. They know that Miracle is nowhere nearby, and that's what's giving Greggy this confidence to just immediately go for this Rift Herald.
Yeah, Rift Herald is being started up, and so far, this has been Greggy's game to play. Team Solid definitely living up to their name in terms of keeping those global objectives. I mean, this is what the squad is made for as well. Keeping pressure down, not allowing the lanes to group up, and try and play that team fight map. And I mean, I think they're doing a very solid job of it.
I 100% agree with you here. We see the pings coming out on the Dragon as well. They know they just heard the Rift Herald go down. They're immediately trying to go for that Dragon on the side of Wulfpack. They want to trade something back, but look in the mid lane. Your move has the priority here. Greggy is running in. They want to contest this. We might be seeing a huge fight break out right now.
Yeah, teleport's being dropped as well. They do get the hook on a Misfortune, get dragged back right into the fight. There goes the Death Charge on the backline. Bullet time doesn't hit very many people. That's going to be the last breath in the backline. This is a split fight. Cataclysm keeps 2 primary carries in the fight, but look at the centered. Look at Shane now coming in to help. The burn is there, and that's going to be a 1-for-0 so far. Jeez, JLU getting caught out in that pit. He gets taken down, and would you know it, Dragon and 3 for Wulfpack Exiled as they claim a massive fight.
And a catastrophic loss here on the side of Team Solid. We were just mentioning such great objective control, really well done rotations around the map, and yet not in that position, not expecting that team fight we mentioned. This is what Wulfpack wants. They want to fight constantly, they want to throw out those ultimates, they want to make sure that the enemy team is forced to funnel into them, and that's exactly what we saw happen right there.
Yeah, also a little disrespect, right? They definitely weren't respecting the ultimates coming down. The equalizer was able to sit in a proper position, and just a little bit of disrespect makes them lose so much. They're now down about 700 gold, which isn't bad, and they might be able to make it up here in about 2.5 tower plates, depending if this Rift Herald is going to be dropped. Yes, it is. So they're going to try and pressure this down, but again, losing 3 members in a Dragon, not the best way to start things off, as we do see the Mountain Soul will be coming up to play.
And that's actually a fantastic soul for them. Are they looking for a fight? Oh, we got a hook.
That's going to be the hook going down as the rest of the team is here. They do have the ultimate. The Death Charge is able to get the kill for AD Casey. Greggy goes down. Hook goes out once again. That's going to be the True Shot Barrage landing on D&D. One more auto attack does not break the shield enough. That's going to be triple lift, running for his life. Slow is there, auto attacks galore, and a triple kill for AD Casey signals a massive lead on the bottom lane.
And we were just talking about the strength of this team altogether, and right as we say it, Solid fights them again, 3-on-3. That's not a fight you're going to win, especially with the Misfortune, who just got an advantage.
Yeah, very unfortunate choice. Again, they got the first tower, they got all 5 plates on that bottom lane, and yet they decide to try and fight. They do lose out there. Now we see top lane. Realm of Death has been popped. JLU dancing on top of Shane. 3 members showing up as well. Looks like this is Shane's death. He gets dragged back in, shut down. Going over to JLU.
And fantastic opportunity there to get some gold, make up some of that deficit. But on the other hand, look at mid lane. There's no one else there other than your move on the side of Team Solid. And right now, it is just getting beaten down by the side of Wulfpack. They're getting those plates, but Solid 4 kills in the top lane. They wanted to return fire in this sense.
Yeah, and with that, the plates will fall. That is 7 total for the side of Team Solid. I believe that was 6. About 5, sorry, for the side of Wulfpack Exiled. So a lot of gold going over in both pockets, evening out just a little bit as we do see a taunt under the tower. Last breath. Keeping your move in that lane as we see a flash away. That's a duel and that's a crit. As your move gets a surprising kill under the tower. We now see the equalizer landing on multiple people in the top lane. River does section off JLU. He gets dragged inside the Baron pit. That's going to be another one. That's going to be a 1-for-1 in the River, but a 1-for-0 in the mid lane, going in favor of Team Solid.
And you have to wonder right there what Cheetah was going for. Even if he had killed your move, the Triumph healing would not have been enough. He still would have gone down to tower, and at best, had it be a 1-for-1.
And it's just, those moves seem a little bit over-aggressive, right? Maybe if Cheetah had not gone the exhaust, he would have gotten that kill with the ignite, but still, overly aggressive moves for someone that hasn't completed an item. And now, your move sitting on that, excuse me, Manamune, gonna be stacking that up already at 434 bonus mana. So these guys are scaling to that point. They're very happy to keep trying to play this. AD Casey now getting caught on the wrong side of the map. Wards go down. Can't dance it anymore. Just a couple auto attacks are there, but Triple Lift might not actually win that heal for heal, as that's going to be the True Shot Barrage not landing. So Shutdown does go over to Silent Carry. Not the person you wanted to go to, but still Shutdown nonetheless. We now see and look towards that bottom lane as Sheeta, remember, has no flash, has no ultimate. Actually does have the ultimate, but just too much raw damage as JLU assists Greggy in getting that kill.
And this was the matchup we spoke about. We saw Sheeta dashing around, trying to run for his life, but you can't outrun a man who is already on top of you. Metal's spinning around, and now they're starting the dragon. They're down a mid laner, and meanwhile the bottom lane of Team Solid continue pushing top lane.
And you have to like this dragon choice, right? We are looking towards a steal, though. Miracle goes in a little bit too early. Doesn't get the kill. Has to flash out. So valiant attempt for Miracle to make a miracle. It just doesn't show in that dragon attempt. Oh, nice hook, though. We do see a hop in. That's going to be everything thrown at your move. He goes down. Slain by AD Casey, getting the 5th kill for him on the board.
Each team here getting those little advantages, and for some reason thinking they can already run a mile with them. I have to wonder why your move is positioned up like that. These are the mistakes they can't afford to make. Look right now, Rift Herald about to go down to Wulfpack. Right now, Team Solid can't contest. Your move is down. Triple Lift just based, and this is just one more objective. Back and forth gameplay that we're seeing. 2 dragons, a Rift Herald to Team Solid, but now 1 dragon and a Rift Herald to Wulfpack. This is such a back and forth game here, Orbital.
Yeah, absolutely, Jacket. And it kind of highlights, right? Both these squads have the idea of how they want to play. Normally, you would see teams either say, okay, we focus on the global objectives, such as the Dragons and the Rift Heralds, and the other team is able to push down the towers, gain that gold advantage, right? That's what we normally see. It's kind of the trade-off in higher tier League of Legends, and here they're deciding just, all right, screw it, we're just going to go for everything. We're going to grab whatever we can. Whoever comes out with the lead wins.
Yeah, and right now each team is starting to have different members shine a little bit, especially on the side of Wulfpack. We're seeing Shane in the top lane 3-1. We're seeing AD Casey 5-1, even in CS. But still, you can even see how much extra gold he has in his pocket, just in terms of items. He's got an Essence Reaver, and this Misfortune is going to hurt so much more in a straight-on fight than this Ezreal.
Oh, absolutely. Watching one bounce or double up just crush someone's HP is always so depressing to watch. As we do see a little bit of a jump in that top side. JLU looking at Shane, possibly wanting to fight this, as we do see Mordekaiser have to resort back as we see a flash. Oh, hook does miss. So Silent Carry going for the big play, not fighting anything, but an attempt well made.
I do like seeing the attempts at aggressive plays, because what we've been seeing is almost exclusively picks, little skirmishes, but Rift Herald being dropped here in the middle lane, going to cut myself off. This is a big push on the side of Wulfpack. Could be going for an inhib here.
Yeah, and no one seems to be responding on Team Solid's side. You do see Trundle slowly starting to move up, but you can see the solo lane still on the side, so that tower will fall, evening it up 2-2, with the mid lane being broken completely for the side of Wulfpack Exiled, and the side lanes being attempted by Team Solid.
And right now, they're starting to steal what they can from the jungle. Nothing going to happen. Red buff does go over to the side of Wulfpack, but this is a much better spot to be seeing Wulfpack in. This is what they should be doing. They have that lead, they get the tower, and they get out. They don't greed for more. They see that Yormu is already backing off. His team is there to back him up. But right now, as I'm saying it, we're seeing them start to overextend. They want this pick, and how much are they going to commit to it?
They committed a decent chunk. Not enough, though, to warrant some ultimates being thrown, so the attempt was made once again. And like you said, the Wombo Combo Squad knows trigger discipline, right? They're not throwing their ultimates out whenever they want to. They're getting slow objective wins and accruing a very, very slight lead. Again, the gold difference has not gone higher than I think about 700 gold between these two teams.
And a lot of that, I have to say, I love what Team Solid is doing. You mentioned the patience on the side of Wulfpack, but meanwhile, Team Solid has to pull off this 1-3-1 style of play. We see the Corki in the top lane. You have the bottom lane as well as jungle looking towards mid on the side of Team Solid, as well as JLU in the bottom lane. They'll switch as needed. They both have teleport. On the other hand, you have Yasuo Shida with just exhaust. If they can draw him to that bottom lane and look for a Baron fight, it could very quickly turn on to a 4-on-5 in favor of Team Solid.
Yeah, and if that 4v5 does occur, I mean, this squad, yes, they can scramble, but only to a certain amount, right? The Ezreal can get out, but you're looking at the Thresh, the Trundle, and the Mordekaiser. If they get pinned in the Cataclysm, I feel that pretty much spells game over.
100% one of their biggest problems right now. It's what we saw happen in that early Dragon fight. JLU, Greggy, even the Silent Carry all just stuck because there's so much ground getting covered between the Equalizer, the Bullet Time, the Cataclysm. There's so little room to make a mistake. And speaking of, they might make one right now. D&D looking maybe going to find that hook. Posturing very aggressively.
Yeah, very aggressive push. Now that Shane is here, the rest of Wulfpack Exiled might want to engage. Dragon has been started up. Aggressive there as D&D does dance forward. He is playing in the range of fire right now. That is fairly scary to see.
And this is... I'm glad that Team Solid is able to move out of that choke point, because otherwise that would have been game over right there. Ultimate used.
Yeah, that's going to be the death shards on a champion that can get away, as we do see the pull in into the realm of death, as Cataclysm does catch, and the Equalizer lane on top, bullet time, and everything is used, but the health damage is not enough, as JLU is able to assassinate backline, but that's a trade 1-for-1 right there. Dragon's still hitting on everyone. That's gonna be Miracle now getting cut out. He gets chunked. He might go down. No, the heal keeps him alive. The pull right back in. D&D is gonna tank it all. And the Dragon is still free hitting. What is going on here, Casey? Why are you in the front line?
What a flash.
Casey goes down, and the Dragon is assisting. Dragon now turns onto Team Solid here. Their health bars are extremely low. Wards are still down, so he might go for the steal. He gets
Miracle.
it! And in all of that, in a 3-for-1, they claim the second Dragon and keep their Dragon soul alive. What is going on?
You're watching here, Orbital. they're looking for the Baron. The TP is coming out from JLU and your move. They want this as quickly as possible. Team members from Wulfpack, rather, sorry, still respawning. Your move zoning with package.
Oh, that is going to be your move, assassinating Shane with the package available. And now Sheeta getting burned down, already chunked out to 50% health. That's going to be the last breath, killing him off, though. So very nice trade back. Health bars are quite low, so Sheeta might not be able to fight this Baron down to about 4,000 HP. That's going to be the Jet Charge once again. They get the knockup. There it is. Shutdown goes down. Mordecai's able to take one for himself, but Casey is back and back for revenge. Auto attack after auto attack. Gonna do the damage. Bullet time to finish it off. And in a turnaround of Fiesta proportions, a 4-for-3 keeps the Baron from falling into Team Solid's hands.
And right there, Triple Lift stopping the damage on Baron to try and zone, but turns out to be the largest mistake so far, because not only do you lose out on that DPS on the Baron, but once again, this is a mistake you can't afford to make. He gets picked out by the Nautilus ultimate, he gets killed by Sheeta, and now suddenly your most important damaging member on the team is gone in an instant.
And we were curious, right, how these teams would respond in high pressure scenarios. These are teams both battling for first place. These are teams that need to make a statement moving into week 7 and to make a statement going into playoffs, right? And if that is true, this is one way to do it. Team Solid, yes, they won the team fight over at Dragon, but then they made an over-aggressive attempt on Baron. So the teams need to start finalizing how they want to play the game, if they want to go super aggressive or if they're going to try and play a little bit laid back. And they need to start getting on the same page, or else team fight after team fight, they will not have consistency, it feels.
And as you mentioned, how much of this truly is those nerves? Is that sure, this could just be the players in of themselves, but most likely, both teams have the most pressure so far to succeed, to show that they can come out on top. And making those mistakes is just that much more to the detriment of the player's mentality. How much more that must hurt to make that tiny little error and have that affect your team so heavily.
Yeah, I mean, Jacket, we wanted some really awesome games to come out to close out our week. And this is one way to do it. 13 to 12 in kills. Only 200 gold separates these squads, 3 towers to 2, and 2 dragons apiece. I mean, how much more even can you get in these scenarios? This is insane.
Without a doubt, I'm loving to see this back and forth play, because as much as we talked some on the negative aspect, at least personally, I was just failing to acknowledge the positives here, that we're seeing so many plays made by individual members, such good team play as well, that sure, maybe one player is making a mistake, but the entire enemy team is taking advantage of it. We even saw that fight. Triple Lift slightly out of position, and immediately D&D pulls the trigger, uses his ultimate, Sheeta flashes forward and finishes Triple Lift off. And that's what stopped the Baron attempt.
Yeah, and now as we do take a little bit of a breath, right, we have a little time to kind of go over and take stock of what's going on. I want to draw your attention to some of the itemizations, as we do see some of these 2 to 2.5 items coming out of these members on the Rift. I mean, we see 2 items and minor components coming out of just about every member. At this point, is one side a little bit stronger off than the other, or do you think they're still fairly evenly matched for the next team fight?
I have to say that right now you can see Wulfpack is hitting a lot of those spikes. Right now, I want everyone to pay special attention to the Yasuo and Misfortune builds. Both of them not only have their Infinity Edges complete, but just picked up a QSS. JLU no longer going to be able to just ultimate and immediately pick off these members.
Yeah, the QSS tax has been paid. Used to be called the Discarder tax. Now it's called anyone that can drag you away tax. And so QSS has been paid on 2 of the primary members. So we'll have to see how that one plays. Hook does go out and misses once again, as Silent Carry is looking to try and make the play for his team. Again, a death hook is definitely a sentence for any of these members right now. So if he gets a very positive hook, that could be a game-changing or a team fight-changing attempt coming out.
And this is already a huge answer to that question you asked of what do these teams value across the map. Baron is up, but neither team really has much vision of that area. They want this dragon. They want to fight over this. Neither team is backing down. They could look to trade objectives, but dragon is being started, and Wulfpack does not want to give it up.
Oh, they definitely don't. Dragon already down to about 3.2. It looks like Miracle might have to make his name as he is pulled into the death realm. That is very unfortunate. One more might do it. There we go. A very nice smite comes out. That's 3 dragons as the fight kicks off. Sheeta dancing all the way to the backline. Equalizer landing. And that's the wombo combo that they want. Everyone fought on top of the equalizer, but that's still not enough. 2 for 1 so far in the fight. 2 for 2 right there. That's going to be the hook forward. Shane getting poked out by the auto attacks. Triple Lift just free hitting in that back line. And the health bars are bleeding. As that's going to be a teleport to try and cut them off. He wants to make it your move, teleports in. That's going to be a nice round of spells as Shane just gets blown up where he stands. I'm sorry, that's your move. As Triple is still dancing Q after Q. Mystic Shot landing and trying to pick off these low health targets. So that's not enough. So your move, teleporting into his death. Still though, 3rd Dragon over 2 teams solid as they take stock of what just happened and try and pressure down some of these lanes.
Incredibly smart move there by JLU to tell his team, finish the dragon, I'll take the jungler out of the equation. Right there, Greggy, no pressure, no 50-50 to worry about. It's just him, a dragon, and his smite. And my goodness, followed up by one of the hypest quirky plays I have ever seen in my life.
Hypey, yes. Brains running through there, we're not so sure. Again, diving over the wall and just allowing himself to get picked off might not have been the best scenario to have happened, but again, we'll have to see how it plays as the Baron is immediately started up here. Shane does have teleport, so that is something to keep stock of. Down to about 7k. It's getting burned down very, very quickly as the hook does go out, does land onto Sheeta, but everything is blocked. Very nice little teleport all the way in the backline though. Down to about 1k. That's going to be the take on the Baron, and here we go. Fight comes out. Immediate kill as a Cataclysm keeps JLU in the fight. Realm of Death drags D&D into the fight, but that's going to be Sheeta dancing all the way to the backline. Shane grabbing that kill onto your move, and there it is. The Mallet wins it out as the Mace claims a kill. JLU going to lead the rest of the team away as he blast cones himself to safety.
Very well played there by Wulfpack to recognize they have such high DPS characters. Yasuo and MF both super high DPS, just melting that Baron. And Team Solid relaxed for a moment, stopped watching the map, didn't have that vision, and immediately are paying a price for it. JLU.
Oh, and that's such a good pick. JLU takes the wrong path and gets annihilated for it. And now with the death timers staggered, a free inhibitor coming out for Wulfpack Exiled.
It's like they say right now, Orbital, that League is not necessarily a game of mechanics, a game of how many outplays you can do. It is a game of mistakes. Which team is going to drop the ball first, and how well can you take advantage of that? And right now, Wulfpack is answering. They are saying very well, so much so, in fact, that the game has been cracked almost wide open.
Yeah, and I mean, who better to look at than AD Casey? I mean, you're looking at that scoreline, 11-2-5. It has all been made pretty much on the fact that the rest of his team is able to get the ultimates off and, get the Wombocons off, but he's sitting at 11-2-5. This man is on a warpath right now, sitting on 4 items for himself that he is just a force to be reckoned with the whole way through.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. 4 items is exactly key right there. Looking at Triple Lift, he only has 3. He's starting to work on components for his 4th. AD Casey is a fully finished rapid fire cannon now. Huge threat. Even just one auto can take out almost half of someone's HP, if we're being honest here. And I mean, even look at Greggy. He has no armor. He's got a Spirit Visage. Zhonya's is the most anyone on this team has, bar for the Gargoyle Stoneplate on Thresh.
Yeah, and this is going to be the tower being hammered down by not 1, but 2 cannon minions buffed up with that Baron, and one unfortunately gets taken to the grave. No, not allowed to continue that free fire as it is smited away. So nice little hold there. But again, this Baron siege is starting to crack open. A play needs to be made very soon. That's going to be the charge going out towards the back line, though. Very nice arcane shift to keep himself safe. That's going to be the kill on the inhibitor, as that's now 2 inhibitors down base. Very much cracked open, but respect being handed over as Wulfpack Exiled start making their way towards that dragon.
And this is exactly what we talked about earlier. This is what we wanted to see. We're seeing patience on their side. And look at this. Clearing all the vision, hiding that bush. If they're spotted out, it could spell disaster for them. But if anyone just so happens to wander through, they will die in a moment. And this may very well be Triple Lift.
Oh, that very well might, but the hook unfortunately misses. If that were old school Nautilus, that would have hit. We all know that's true. But that is going to be a very unfortunate miss. That could have been the game as a dragon is started. True Shot Barrage coming out, might clip. No, Windwall keeps it low. That's going to be your move, dancing all the way in the back line. Sheeta trying to dance all the way in the back, does not get the kill. They do get the dragon, but they're losing members rapidly. 80 Casey in the back line, no one to help save him. He is not even going to get a trade back. And in a desperate attempt, Team Solid come out on top 5-0 at 33 minutes.
Such a well-played team fight there on the side of Team Solid. They have the opportunity now. They're clawing their way back in. Even look at that gold advantage. They're over 1k gold ahead now from what previously seemed like such a detriment.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the scoreline, right? 7 towers to 3, 3 dragons to 3, 19 kills to 20. Yes, the kills are in their favor, but you wouldn't expect a 1k lead from a team that's down 4 towers, right? That's just, and it has to go down. I mean, you look down at the CS numbers, we're seeing monstrous CS counts for almost every single carry on the side of Team Solid.
And I especially want to speak to Triple Lift in that last fight, able to dodge back, kite Sheeta not able to make that pick that he looked for despite having a great knock up in the last breath. And then to add on to it, Triple Lift baits Miracle in, kites him back, and takes him out for a 2 for none. And really, we spoke so much about how AD Casey is the central carry on the side of Wulfpack, but on the side of Solid, we're starting to see multiple members step up to the plate and take on this enemy team.
Yeah, now with Baron possibly being pushed down, I mean, Baron coming up in a minute, I think the middle inhibitor might come up in that time. I'm not too sure, but we'll have to see. I mean, where do these teams stand? What do you think is going to be the catalyst to break out that last all-important team fight?
Oh, and this very well could be it. Last inhibitor for the side of Team Solid. They just need to break that tower, and after that, it might be a very easy siege considering how much pressure they have with each ultimate. And if I'm being honest here, the Yasuo pick was something I was curious about. You know, was he going to camped? How many advantages could he have? But this wind wall is showing up huge when you have 2 AD carries on the enemy team. But uh-oh, Miracle.
Oh, Miracle gets dropped down to about 50% HP, but is going to stay alive again. He is going quite tanky. He does have that Gargoyle Stone Plate plus Knight's Vow. So he's going to keep himself fairly resilient. Mid inhibitor has come back up. Bottom inhibitor will come up in about 2.5 minutes, I believe. So we'll have to see what they can do in that time.
Baron Nashor is alive. No dragon for another few minutes. I want to see Wulfpack Exiled rotate back towards it here, drop a vision, look for a pick if they want. But right now they haven't swept it. They know there's vision there now.
Yeah, so finally all the vision has been taken out. We do see that's going to be a pink ward dropped, of course. But still, this Death Brush coming out of the Wombo Combo squad is so scary to deal with. Greggy might be on the chopping board.
Death Bush,
he walks
Death
up,
Bush.
but that's a very nice pillar. Displaces everyone, and now the wind wall is going to keep them all alive. JLU is able to draw a man into the Shadow Realm. That's going to be the hook, landing onto a primary target. Bullet time lands onto everyone, but doesn't shred enough. 1 kill going over to Team Solid, and health bars are so low, but Sheeta in the backline might be able to get triple lift, goes golden, and that's gonna be the fight as AD Casey gets jumped on and pummeled as a 4-for-1 claims that team fight, and Team Solid so happy to take that win and the Baron.
And my goodness, Greggy, calling out the entire enemy team with that pillar, shoving them all out of that bush. And immediately, it's like everyone went into full panic mode on the side of Wulfpack. They all immediately tried to engage, some tried to run, they all scattered, and it was so uncoordinated. And Team Solid took full advantage of that. They destroyed that fight.
Yeah, you almost feel like they could have actually backed out towards the top side, right? They had understanding that almost everyone on the side of Team Solid was on the bottom side, so either way, you could definitely get the pinch on the top. So instead, they go for a more dangerous escape route. So now Team Solid have that Baron, both inhibitors up, so this is very much an even game, or what you would consider a advantaged game in favor of Team Solid, as this 4th dragon is coming up in just 30 seconds.
And we're starting to see more items come onto the table. We see both AD carries almost at the very end of their build. AD Casey, though, decided to offer the Executioner's Calling with not all too much healing beyond that of the Trundle. Other than that, you have Ezreal with the Blade of the Ruined King. You have a Redemption on the side of the Silent Carrier, so I can see why that Executioner is in there, but no Last Whisper components. There is no percentage penetration. Meanwhile, Triple Lift, or as a fully finished Mortal Reminder, he is going to be hitting very hard on these tanks.
Yeah, a few little spell rotations as the Death Charge goes out
JLU.
once again. I'm not sure if they want to take this Greggy in the middle of the fight, but that's going to be the core key package, sectioning everyone off, and the health bars are so low. A re-engage coming out of Team Solid is wiping the health bars. Mallet goes down, JLU takes it 4-0 as Miracle looks to stay alive.
And what a huge flank there by JLU. He came into the back, he used Death's Grasp and pulled AD Casey and Sheeta into him. Immediately said that they stepped too far out of line and bonked them over the heads with his Obliterate. Got that passive going, got everyone to turn their attention onto him, but he has Thornmail, he has Zhonya's, so much armor to deal with his enemy team, and he pops the Zhonya's and has 4 members of Wulfpack sitting inside of his passive. Liandry's ticking, Rylai's ticking onto them, and we saw how easily that destroyed them.
Oh, and Miracle went for a desperate safe play, just couldn't hold on. And I do want to point out as well, Sheeta was not able to get any ultimate off. The last breath was not available. So again, Team Solid coming out with a solid game 1 victory. Very well played by them.
What a strong showing in that late game orbital. We saw what looked to be a Wulfpack favored game, but in a spicy turn of events right there, Solid did not give up. They kept looking for advantages, and they found them. They found each team fight a way to come back in and win this game. Very well played by them.
Yeah, and going back to the champion select, right? We saw the team compositions come out. We knew that the side of Wulfpack Exiled were gonna want a team fight, but on the flip side, right? Team Solid had the skirmish advantage. They had the abilities and the variety to be able to dance those team fights as well as they wanted. You know, have the Corki coming from the flank, have the Mordekaiser pull one person in, and have the Ezreal free hit from the backline, not needing a support to keep him alive.
And I really like how they try to counter that with that Yasuo, but we saw as soon as that wind wall went down, if he couldn't get it out, next thing you knew, Corki rocket barrages are just slamming your team. Mystic Shot, True Shot barrage, like you said, just free hitting from the backline, and one hit after another. We just saw them wear down Wulfpack in those team fights.
Yeah, and at the very end, I do want to point out something, and I want to call your attention to it and get your opinion. Is the fact that no matter what, Wolfpack Exile, they still tried the 5-man team wombo combos. They still tried to go for those big team fights, and it just fell apart. So, do you think that's a sign of pure desperation for them, or do you see that as a glimmer of hope in this team that when they knew they were behind, they still went for those coordinated team fights?
I really respect their decision there. They had a team comp in mind, they stuck with that objective, and even though it fell apart at the very end, that was less because of a failed execution on the side of Wolfpack, and rather Team Solid finding ways to play around it to finish off that train of thought. We saw JLU in that last team fight. That was where he found his answer. He flanked, they didn't have vision of him, and right there you need Sheeta and AD Casey alive. They are the backline. Shane, Miracle, D&D all went in, and suddenly, out popped JLU. He stopped the bullet time from Misfortune, and that alone was a swing in the team fight.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they can pull it off once again. Again, it was very close up till about the 20-minute mark. So we'll have to see what action game number 2 brings as these two first place squads battle out for supremacy in their division. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with game number 2 between Wolfpack Exiled and Team Solid. Don't go anywhere.
Ages and I know my patience, so won't you please stay up in the street lights lit this town like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for game number 2 between Wulfpack Exiled and Team Solid. Again, we saw an extremely close race between these two squads in the first 25 minutes of game number 1. And then at the end, it seems some choice team fights as well as some problematic engages really took the win for Team Solid.
And just as you said it, Orbital, that is exactly the problem with last game on the side of Wulfpack. They wanted a team fight. They wanted to try and make those moves, force the enemy team into them. But it all started to fall apart at the very end. Team Solid took advantage of the slight lapses in coordination and finding those flanks, finding those opportunities to tear apart the backline, and suddenly the game was cracked wide open for them.
Yeah, and I want to talk about, where those advantages came from, because it seemed to come pretty much out of nowhere, right? Like it seemed to just kind of creep up and pop its head. And starting out, I want to talk about some of those team fights around the Dragon Pits and around the Baron Pit. I mean, for the first 20 to 25 minutes, we saw almost every single team fight go in the way of Wulfpack Exiled.
And that's what surprises me so much is they had a solid game plan, but the moment the Team Solid adapted, we saw how they started to play around these team fights. They had someone ready on the flank. They would have someone ready to disrupt that backline, and especially the moment where we saw the momentum shift, Wulfpack falling back towards the Baron, trying to bait in the enemy team, see if they can make a pick on any one of Team Solid, and Greggy calls them out on Trundle, uses his pillar, and shoves them all out of the bush. And that's where we saw the very first sign of a large weakness in their team. They didn't know whether to engage, whether to disengage, and a very chaotic team fight broke out that Team Solid was able to take advantage of.
Absolutely. And as we take a look, we are going to get into the champion select of game number 2, where again, Wulfpack Exiled will be on red side this time, Team Solid on the blue, as we do see pretty much same bans across the board. Galio taking out the table as well as Zed. So both these squads still giving respect to the proper players.
And I definitely like to see that. As you mentioned, this is a respect ban. These aren't necessarily the strongest picks in solo queue. They aren't the strongest champions in terms of kits, but these are the picks that two mid laners excel on, and both teams respect that, ban those away. Ezreal actually is what I want to talk about here, banned away for Team Solid after that performance from Triple Lift.
Yeah, definitely not wanting to give that one over. Just, all right, listen. You have that enough. We're not going to deal with that. And in response, Wulfpack Exiled are actually hovering the J4. So this time, it's actually not going to be that, as Set is locked in. This was banned away in game number 1. So Set is being locked in, can be played top, jungle, and support. Have to see where that one goes. Thresh being hovered on that red side once again.
I really do like that Set pick. Not only that, the J4 hover, it feels almost like Team Solid is taunting Wulfpack, telling them, try that same team again, and we'll show you we can deal with it no matter what. And Set especially, a strong flex pick, able to be picked first. You don't always top, as you mentioned, jungle support, even sometimes into assassin matchups, you can see him mid lane. And this is such a great spot for Team Solid to be in, because now they are starting to see opportunities of counter picks.
Yeah, that's going to be the Graves picked up here. So that's going to be Miracle on a champion that not so much a playmaker, but definitely a cleanup crew and an aggressor. So going to be a little different playstyle for him in that jungle role. We do see and are waiting on the rest of the lanes potentially. So Braum being hovered and locked in. So it's going to be the shield versus the hook in the bottom lane.
And this, I'm really happy to see this. We didn't talk much about it last time. We didn't get much of a chance. But the silent carry, the support for Team Solid, has so many games on this Braum. It's his second most played champ in solo queue behind only Blitzcrank.
And we do see a spicy lock-in. Team Solid locking in that vein. I feel a little bit disrespectful here, specifically because we did see how close game number 1 was. So interesting to see the Vayne, which could potentially see a problem if they get behind.
Yeah, Vayne, a very feast or famine pick, and also team fighting can be somewhat difficult. She only has single target damage, does have some peel for herself, does have a good ability to survive getting dove on, but can only focus one target at a time. And comparatively to that Ezreal, who's able to poke multiple targets, hit through a team with True Shot Barrage, Vayne can only focus one person down at a time. When you only have Braum and Set so far, it definitely shows a little bit of team fight damage lacking.
We do see the Renekton now being locked in, which was banned away in game number 1, this time being picked up in the first round rotation. That is going to be a Mordekaiser ban for Wulfpack. Exiled not wanting to give that one over to JLU, who had a phenomenal game on it in game number 1.
And very not surprised to see that Mordekaiser, not only a very powerful pick, but a very frustrating one, because even as we saw in that last game, just one simple team fight composition can get torn apart by just the press of an R button. Normally you should be able to have that Nautilus engage, or the Rumble follow up, or the Misfortune follow up, or the Yasuo able to dive in and disrupt the team, but they never had that chance with how often priority members would get taken out by the top laner of Team Solid.
Yeah, and as we do see 2 ADC bans on the side of Team Solid, so definitely hammering in, trying to get themselves a very free lane. That is going to be Corki banned away in that mid lane. So now we're seeing some complications come up. Aphelios being dropped down in tier list, which is very surprising. Being picked up as the, I think, 5th ADC, 5th or 6th ADC on the rotation.
And ADKC does have some games on Aphelios, especially compared to Triple Lift. Triple Lift has not put almost any time into the champ thus far. So I'm excited to see what it is ADKC can do with this. We saw a very good showing from him on the Misfortune last game, and Aphelios has been touted as the late game damage carry.
Yep, that is going to be a nice lock-in as they round it out. So that's Vayne Braum versus Aphelios Thresh. We do see Cassiopeia locked in blind here. So going for a bit more aggressive in that mid lane, not the Corki, but another nice engage and, very solid AoE champion.
Yeah, and we were talking already about how Set is a very strong, flexible champion, and especially with the Showmaker being able to grab a target, hit them with the RKO out of nowhere, and bring them into that enemy team, slam them all together. If anyone gets pulled in and is facing that Cassiopeia, that is one ultimate after another they can just hammer the enemy team with.
As we do get the last few lock-ins, it's a Vi and Veigar to round it out. Very interesting to see these last few champions really just, pop out of nowhere, it feels. Because, again, these are not standard champions in the draft phase at all.
And I gotta say, I actually love this Veigar pick on the side of Wulfpack, especially when combined with the last pick the Team Solid had. A Vi, she uses her ultimate, is crowd control immune, as is Set during the showstopper, but the same cannot be said for the other members of Team Solid. It's very possible that they want these two strong diving champs to dive in and then get isolated and get torn down. Even Renekton, especially here, we remember a few patches ago, had changes to his empowered W stun. It now destroys shields, and into Set, he needs that Haymaker to stay alive when he's getting damaged, but he won't have that ability if the Renekton saves that for him.
Yep. Gonna be an interesting matchup for sure. I'm ready to see what these squads can put out on the Rift, because again, game number 1, very, very close up until those last few moments. And this time around, these compositions look way scarier, in my opinion, right? These are much more volatile matchups. We have the Vi on the field. Again, Veigar now against Cassiopeia. I mean, this is a team that, Wulfpack Exiled are looking seemingly towards that late game.
And meanwhile, Team Solid, what I see right here is a team that's able to make picks so well. We know that we've seen Vayne players in those highlight reels, right? You use the final hour, tumble out of the bush, they don't see you, condemn them into the wall, chunk them down. And how much easier is it to find those solo picks, find those targets with a Set able to ult someone back into you, the Vi able to pick someone out with that assault and battery. And meanwhile, Wulfpack, well, I love the Veigar's ability to cut people off to stop the follow-up. That will not come into play until team fights happen. And so for those earlier levels, an immobile mage, and a mobile AD carry, and a mobile support as well, it's like they're asking to get picked off here.
Yeah, and when you're playing something like a Graves, you can expect some aggressive moves early, right? And with Sheeta probably not having that early game aggression, you can expect Miracle to pretty much be left on his own. He's gonna have to fend for himself against the like of a Vi Set or a Vi Cassiopeia. And that's just not a place you want to be in. Miracle definitely had some solid plays for his team in game number 1. But on a Graves, he really needs that assistance from his team to be able to make those early proactive plays to get ahead.
And that's exactly what we need to be seen here. As you mentioned, Graves, an early aggressor. What I want to be seeing this game is I want to see Miracle pitching a tent in that top lane. We know how powerful a set can be once he gets ahead. And Renekton is the early game bully, has been the staple of it for so long. And being able to take out that shield on set, being able to set things up very well for his jungler, could allow for some very easy gank setup.
Yeah, that is so true. But I mean, we can't discredit that bottom lane. AD Casey was 11, 2, and 3. I think at the end of game number 1, he had a massive score line. The misfortune obviously wasn't cutting through the health bars as we had hoped to see. But this time on the Aphelios, I mean, it's pretty much built into his kit, right? With the automatic upgrade of the armor penetration. Do you think this time, if they were to play through bottom lane, that that Wulfpack Exiled would be able to carry this game?
And right now, I think that's a really good point to have made. And especially to what I was saying, I did mention saying the set behind, but in this case, putting the Aphelios ahead, especially on a late game carry, who has a surprisingly powerful early game if he has the right combination of his guns, could be the downfall of a team solid here. Aphelios not only has great single target damage, he has great team fight damage in general, great damage. His only real detriment is when he doesn't have his Calibrum, the sniper rifle. He's lower range, he needs to get in there to deal damage generally, but very strong ultimate with the Gravitum for picking people out of position. His Crescendum, great dueling damage combined with his Severum pistol, and you have someone who could potentially tear apart this Vayne in the one-on-one if he gets ahead.
Yeah, that's something that you normally don't say between ADCs, right? A Vayne getting outclassed by another ADC. But Aphelios, like you said, is definitely one of those champions that can do that, right? Outside of his ultimate, he can pretty much one-shot someone with the Chakrams or, like you said, with the Severum. So we'll have to see if Triplet is able to get ahead. Again, he was the one in that mid to late game that we definitely had to watch. So looking at these compositions, drastically different all the way around. Do you see the win conditions being easier to execute for either of these squads, or do you think this is still some pretty high level activity that is going to be basically walking on eggshells?
I think Team Solid, as you mentioned, a far easier to execute team comp this time around. They don't have that same pressure on them to disrupt certain people, to have to get in there, fight past a front line. It's more so that this time around, they want to be diving in. They're the aggressors in this matchup, whereas Wulfpack, this is the exact opposite of what we saw them doing last time. They have multiple different characters chosen for different reasons. Shane, we know he's super comfortable on that Renekton, and into set specifically is a very powerful pick. Veigar meant to help with the enemy team. If he puts the Cassiopeia in the cage, she has nowhere to go. But they don't have a very big front line. You only have Renekton and Thresh, and they are relying on the enemy team coming into them, aggressing on them, and cutting them off with that Veigar cage and allowing Aphelios and Veigar to tear them apart if given the chance.
Absolutely. So with that, we will have to get into a very short commercial break. But before that, I do want to talk about one of our fantastic sponsors, Kono. If you're looking to take your game to the next level, it all starts with your peripherals. From keyboards to keycaps, mice, and more, our friends at Kono have got you covered. Kono works with some of the world's best designers, inventors, and makers to bring you some of the best gaming peripherals around. They have been huge supporters of us here at Upsurge and have made generous contributions to our prize pools over the years. So if you're looking for any new gear, please check them out at kono.store to check out all they have to offer. If you do place an order, make sure to use the discount code UpsurgeGG for 7% off your first order. With that, we will be going to a very short break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with game number 2 between Team Solid and Wulfpack Exiled. Don't touch that browser.
In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true.
7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Right back. You heard me counting because I'm counting how many champions are on the Rift. We do have all 10 making it on the board, as we do have the sides are swapped with Team Solid coming out on that blue side and Wulfpack Exiled on the red. And once again, Team Solid looking to put a 2-0 on their record and cement themselves as what could possibly be the sole holder of first place in their division.
And it's just as you mentioned, orbital pressures are running high at the moment for Team Solid, have a strong, dominant showing of that 2-0 to become the only 5-1 team thus far. But meanwhile, Wulfpack doesn't want to go down without a fight. And we're already seeing far more respect from them this game. We're seeing them fan out, not try any kind of silly, wacky invades. They aren't going for tower dives at level 1. Wards placed in the river, and this is far more respect within the first minute of the game than we have seen.
I mean, I gotta agree with you. At the same time, I don't think Wulfpack Exiled exactly have an invasion comp, right? You had the Vagar, he really doesn't do anything. And you're also, if you were to try and invade that, it would be into the Braum. Like, you just don't want to do that. That just lends itself to a lot of pain and suffering that you don't want to deal with. So we do have a quiet early game start when taking a look at that mid lane with the Vagar and Cassiopeia trying to duel it out a bit.
Very clever start here on the side of Wulfpack Exiled, ADKC and D&D hitting that blue buff so that ADKC has less ammo. Looks like he might have started the leash for Graves, but they did see him on that top side.
Yeah, that's going to be a nice little hold as you, again, keeping track of these junglers is going to be very, very important. And we've seen Graves multiple times, right? But Vi has definitely been creeping up in the standings. I think a lot of people have her pegged as one of the few sleeper picks in the recent patches. So, I mean, taking a look here, do you think this Vi pick will be the make or break for the side of Team Solid?
I think you always have to talk about her ultimate when you talk about Vi. Having a point-and-click tool that is so powerful at picking off targets is already something that not many people talk about enough, I feel. We saw how old Warwick used to be very good for it, and as I'm saying, one moment in the mid lane.
Yeah, that's going to be the flash coming out from both Your Move and Sheeta. So both mid laners losing one of their important summoners to keep them alive, as Jesus Loves You is dueling this out. Might get it, and he does. That's going to be a solo kill in the top lane. Mid lane also go down, and now a fight breaks out in that bottom lane as the buckshot coming out of Miracle takes a massive chunk out of Triple Lift and Silent Carry, but still solo kill in the top side between JLU and Shane. Little bit of disrespect.
You have to wonder, are these nerves coming over from last game? That pressure to perform now after falling short with a lead last game. You want to win, and right there, a solo kill from Shane.
And again, no flashes burned by either of these squads, and yet they feel like it's okay to keep dueling again. Now it's 1-1. This is going to be a flash forward. They do catch Silent Carry as the pushback teleport is there. Now the teleport coming in. This might be the collapse that they're looking for. That's going to be the auto going out fast and furious. JLU going to try and keep his ADC alive, and they do. They get the first kill. That's going to be the stun coming out from the concussive blows from Silent Carry. And now a very nice turnaround from JLU, nets 2 kills in the bottom lane.
And such a good teleport there. Followed up by an amazing face breaker. He walked up, waited for them to get into position, and pulled all 3 members in that bottom lane together to stun them, to allow his team to survive, and even stopping Miracle mid-dash on that Graves, completely preventing him from providing any more damage.
I mean, while we're talking, we didn't even get to see it. Your move just straight up kills Sheeta. What is going on?
This is such a bloody match in comparison to the last one, that sure, there was that early invade, and we saw Team Solid try and take advantage of it, but here there was nothing. We were just seeing both teams going at it. You know, we didn't mention it. There was a bit of spicy back and forth talk between these two teams in the pregame chat, and you have to wonder, is that what's causing some of this early game aggression?
Yeah, I don't even know if that's going to play a huge factor, right? Like, yes, we did have some banter, but that's standard between teams. But game number 1, I mean, it was so calm in the starting portions. Yes, there was a tower dive, and yes, they burned a few of the summoners, but they definitely didn't go to toe-to-toe in the middle of the lane without burning flashes like we saw in the top side. We definitely didn't see this amount of aggressive movement coming out of all the lanes in the early stages, and we definitely didn't see such tunnel vision going down, I feel, from laners to get a singular kill.
And right now, they're already starting the dragon. This is actually a repeat of last time from Team Solid, and however, Wulfpack Exiled this time around in position to contest.
Yeah, Miracle drops a smoke screen, but I don't think anyone else can follow. You look at the minimap, AD Casey is all the way back and just running straight down mid bot lane. So first Dragon easily goes over to Team Solid.
And we're not really surprised to be seeing this. You already mentioned they have a ton of early game priority. Braum always has so much pressure with his passive concussive blows. You have to be afraid of getting stunned, getting picked out. Cassiopeia as well with her miasma, preventing any mobility. If they have flash, if they have a dash, they won't be able to use it. And just one thing into the next leads to a very dangerous situation. And AD Casey especially not being in position there to contest just led to a free dragon once again.
Yeah, but we do see a fight on that bottom side. That's going to be one more auto attack taking it. Shane now getting run down on the top side. One more Fang does get it, but now we see on the bottom side a re-engage happens, and that's going to be AD Casey picking up his first kill of the game as well. So taking stock across the board, a 2-for-1, I believe, in favor of Wulfpack Exiled. But I mean, that's only 2 kills in the face of 7 that have been taken by Team Solid.
And that's just as you mentioned, Team Solid is finding these kills. They're finding these picks, whether it's disrespectful play by Wulfpack Exiled or just aggressive play on their side. One thing is leading to another, and we are seeing them get advantage after advantage. And unlike last game, they are doing their absolute best to hold on to them, to find more openings. And this time, they are succeeding.
Absolutely. It's a scary thought to see what's going to occur in the next few stages, as we see Sheeta once again getting dropped, and that's going to be the Petrifying Gaze as your move gets minion blocked. So Sheeta does get some retribution, but still falling and losing multiple minions to that mid lane tower. Gonna be a nice little wave picked up by Miracle, but still, your move absolutely running it in that mid lane.
And not just your move, triple lift as well in the bottom lane. 3-0 on what's supposed to be a late game carry in the form of Vayne.
Yeah, you normally wouldn't see this, and I think this spells massive problems for the side of Wulfpack Exiled. Last time, they had some trouble because they had the teamfight compositions, right? This time around, they don't really have those, massive ultimates like they had before to really lock down someone like Triple Lift, right? He's on the Vayne, he's on a high mobility champion. Once he uses the ultimate, has the tumble, has a flash available if he does, there might be some problems if they can't lock down such a scary threat.
And especially as you mentioned, once that we see Triple Lift getting these items, we could see a Quicksilver Sash come into play, completely preventing Veigar's event horizon from having that threat, from putting down the baby cage and keeping him trapped in. He's allowed to tumble face first into it and just cleanse right through it.
Yeah, we do see Miracle looking for a little bit of fight. Flash forward, that's going to be the catch, and that's going to be the flash out as well. Shield blocks just about everything, though, and Triple Lift and Silent Carry. Again, combat a 2v3 scenario.
Very well played by them to disengage like that, but we know that Miracle is thirsty for more. He's been staying in this bot side. As you mentioned, the champs, like, they want to get this FLAce ahead, and we're seeing that. Meanwhile, though, Greggy is on the other side of the map, putting pressure on top lane, and you can see pings coming down onto that Rift Herald. They want to take this objective and make Miracle pay for looking for those bot side plays.
That is the plan, as we do see the Rift Herald being taken, like you said, and Miracle just pushing into that bottom side map, trying to take some camps away. I think he only got one. It looks like he did also pick up the red buff away from Greggy, so no love for Greggy. Only going to get that Rift Herald for himself and try and help a singular lane. Taking stock of the CS differences, we do see Shane coming out with a nice 12 CS lead and about 3 camps over to Greggy in favor over Miracle. In that mid lane, we do see, even though he's 3 deaths in, Sheeta up about 3 CS, probably going to close even more. And the bottom lane, 10 CS difference for Triple Lift.
And it's really surprising to see that, considering how much attention Miracle has been giving to that bottom lane. And surprisingly, even with that constant jungle help, Triple Lift and the Silent Carry are completely outplaying this opposing bot lane, finding solo kills where normally there shouldn't be any kind of action in that respect.
Absolutely, and that also comes on the back of the fact that we are going to see the Cloud Drake coming up here in about 15 seconds. That's going to be the next objective on the map. We already see some wards going down. 2 pings for Team Solid along that riverside. and 1 pink ward for the side of Wulfpack Exiled in that tri-bush, which should be cleared out very quickly, but the vision will be very important to see as we do see the dominance being popped on the top side. Top laners duking it out as Shane throws an entire spell wheel and JLU just says, all right, you win.
Very smart of JLU to back this off. Still has the showstopper ready. They know both junglers are on the bottom side right now, and Shane should not be able to look for this dive, but he's going to anyways.
That's a flash forward, and that's a simple kill. As JLU thought about trying to win this, and this is a 4-on-4 on this bottom lane. That's going to be a Petrifying Gaze landing onto Aphelios. He's able to get himself alive out of the fight. That's going to be the Moonlight Vigil on return. Dragon does go over, but that's a simple kill. Primordial Burst taking one. Aphelios grabbing the second, and 2 dragons over to the side of Team Solid. Roars in the Infernal Dragon, calls in the soul that everyone enjoys getting, as 2 kills also go over to Wulfpack Exile, so not losing out on too much.
And now we're starting to see the returns come over for them. We're starting to see...
Can't even talk right now as a bot lane gank occurs, and a simple 2 kills handed right over to Triple Lift once again. He is now 5-0. He is going to put everyone to shame on this side.
I honestly can't even speak for more than 2 seconds right now, Orbital. Quite frankly, right now, I'm speechless. We see the Aphelios get a kill. They knew Greggy was on the bottom side of the map, but somehow they still didn't expect him to look for an aggressive gank on the immobile, flashless AD carry. Fight break down the mid lane as well.
Yeah, and Sheeta has nothing. He's just dead in the water. He just goes down to the Haymaker. This is Team Solid taking everything on the map, and like you said, very little room to talk, it feels. These guys have been putting on the pressure from game 1 into game number 2 and not stopping at all.
And right now, we are seeing Triple Lift in the exact reverse situation of where he was last game. Previously, he was behind ADKC. He had to fight for those advantages, to fight to get back into the game and be at that same level of power as the opposing AD carry. But this time, 5-0, already has Blade the Ruin King completed, working on components for his next item, whereas ADKC doesn't even have his first item completed.
And how bad does that feel, right? That is one of those points where you're just like, all right, this is the one in solo queue where seeing a Vayne 5-0, you just be like, GG, next, please. I don't want to deal with a fed Vayne, right? It's not fun to see.
And especially in this situation, you're in a coordinated environment, you have people to keep this Vayne alive, and we've seen the Braum pick pay out in dividends right now. The silent carry, any time that D&D has tried to look for those big picks, those big engages, has immediately been shut out by that Unbreakable. He puts the shield up, he stops Triple Lift from being aggressed on any further. Miracle, a ranged character, can't hit him. You have ADKC, who's a ranged character and can't hit him. Even Thresh can't throw a hook through there. He can't stop the silent carry from blocking all this. And Greggy now looking for an aggressive play here. Miracle wants to be there as well. We might be seeing a 3v3 breakout here in a moment.
Oh, not just a 3v3. This might be a 3v4 as the hook goes out. That's going to be silent carry throwing up the unbreakable wall. But they notice it's for flash into the event horizon. Unfortunate death there, but they do mitigate the damage output as they only lose 1 and are able to keep their tower alive.
We are seeing Wulfpack is refusing to go down without a fight right now. They are looking for pick after pick, making sure Team Solid can't get too far ahead. But in the mid lane.
Oh, such a big win. Unfortunate turnaround from Sheeta. He actually turned directly into that Petrifying Gaze. That's what sealed his death, as your move might be getting collapsed on here. Graves dancing all the way into the mid lane. He does have Phase Rush available, but now he's grounded as the fangs are popping off. That's gonna be one more. That's gonna be the kill. That's gonna be the cleanse coming out, not doing too much, as D&D is able to claim that kill. But again, 2 for 1 in that mid lane for Team Solid.
And also requiring a flash on the side of D&D there. Such a gigantic tool for Thresh. He can engage with a flash flay, a flash hook, even get people out of danger or straight into the fray with a flash and lantern. And Grady only had to commit his ultimate for that.
Yeah, and I want to point something else out, right? This is going to be me harping a little bit on build paths, But Cheetah going for the Unsealed Spellbook and still running the slowing potential items like the Hextech GLP, I just I feel very heavily in my heart as a mid laner and as a Veigar lover that he is, really cutting down on his damage output by that, or his utility as well.
Yeah, I have to wonder, was this spellbook specifically because of the Cassiopeia pick? Did he want to have that cleanse and that teleport available? And if so, why not take cleanse as the primary summoner spell? We saw what happened when he got caught out, didn't have another summoner spell on hand. He turned into the Petrifying Gaze, and he just got immediately picked off because of it.
Yeah, not only that, the Hextech GLP and the Twin Shadows won't be outputting as much. Again, with the Glacial Augment, it always feels nicer to have those trailing ghosts, right? The trailing, slowing attempts. That way you can lock down the opponent, almost guarantee an event horizon will land. So not having that potential is always a little bit scary. We do see him moving down as a fight might break out. Hook does land on support. That's going to be the Hextech GLP catching everyone at the Event Horizon. Big Moonlight Vigil gets some damage down, but they are all stopped as well. The stun goes out as the Condemned. Seals Shane's life. Your move claiming that one. JLU slams two people together, is able to get the showstopper. AD Casey running away as the Haymaker claims his life. 2 for 0 so far in favor of Team Solid, and the Blast Cone signals the end of the fight. Q doesn't get the blue buff, and that is going to be third Dragon going over to the side of Team Solid.
And this is just disaster for Wulfpack right now. We are seeing fight after fight go down where they're not getting anything. They didn't get Dragon, they didn't get any kills right there, and they can't even get the blue buff from their own jungle.
Yeah, it speaks to the volume of how it was, because honestly, that setup looked fantastic. Sheeta landing a Hextech GLP slow on every single member on the side of Team Solid, and then getting an Event Horizon off on 4, right? JLU was still very far away, and yet they weren't wanting to commit. You have to worry about teams whenever that happens, right? When you have such a beautiful setup, I feel honestly that they could have definitely had it, as we do see a wraparound is grabbing Shane's life. He falls to your move. The Petrifying Gaze is enough to stop the Croc in his path. And this is just excessive amounts of what feels like harassment, right? Coming out of Team Solid here, just owning this game from start to finish.
It's not even harassment. At this point, it feels like it's just bullying. Shane was 2 and 3. He tries to ward a bush, and next thing he knows, he is dead. He can't put up a fight. He can't even blink before he is finished being stunned by the Petrifying Gaze. He's taken out, and right now, we are seeing your move actually step up as a huge carry on the side of Team Solid. Despite Triple Lift, Heavensblade the Rune King, Guinsu's already finished 5-0. Meanwhile, these Petrifying Gazes have been huge from this Cassiopeia.
Yeah, 6-3-3, already building towards that Zonya's Hourglass, has Leandri's as well as the stacked Seraph's Embrace. I mean, he is popping off. Not only that, looking down the line, we see 4 bounties on the side of Team Solid. 150 in the top lane, 150 on the jungle, 150 in the mid, and then 500, of course, on the Vayne. All of these guys have been excelling from minute 1 in this game, and I mean, this team is looking ready to move on to Week 7 as well as the playoffs.
Without a doubt, they are having such a strong showing in this second game here. It was so back and forth at first. We saw just a constant in-between of the teams. First, Wulfpack with their team fighting, coming up huge in those fights. But Solid was able to find their way back in. But this time around, it's Wulfpack who has to find a way back in, and they are not able to so far. We are 20 minutes in, 5k gold lead to the side of Team Solid, and normally you have to sacrifice to get these dragons, to get these Rift Heralds, but they have not. They've gotten every objective and are still looking for more.
Yeah, I think they only sacrificed once, and that was at that, I think it was a Cloud Dragon that they took. They lost 2 members, right, in that ensuing fight, and now they're actually calling the ballsy play to go for a 20-minute Baron. That is going to be spotted out by a Scryer's plant, though, but it's too late. They've done it. They secured every single global objective so far. We do see the bot lane get jumped on, but that's going to be set. Just hammering away on the Croc. That's going to be the Haymaker, taking a large chunk of his life. The Baron empowered minions might get the kill. No, they do not, as Shane walking on eggshells here. But again, Baron taking at 20 minutes. This is Team Solid saying, we don't even want to waste another second on this rift.
And this is where you can really see the character knowledge coming out, the comfort of these picks. Yormove does have a number of Cassiopeia games, and Triple Lift, obviously if the name wasn't enough, big fan of Vayne here, his most played champion in solo queue, and having that knowledge, knowing, hey, it's 20 minutes, I have my Gwynsu Spike and my Blade Ruin King, and you have Liandry's on Cassiopeia, we can burn this thing down in seconds, and that's just what they did.
Now we see a 4-man push on this top side. Hooks not landing on champions, but only on minions. That's going to be a Comet falling to take that last cannon minion out. But we do see Set pushing on that bottom lane, trying to pressure the waves so that Infernal Soul can be taken. And this is going to be the last-ditch attempt. I mean, if you're going to fight for any dragon, this better be the one.
Yeah, otherwise they have to wait until Elder Dragon comes along. But what are your odds of taking that already? Miracle is a level behind Greggy. That's just that little bit of extra damage that could go his favor in the Smite fight. And right now, his jungle is completely empty. They want to collapse on JLU, but he is wisened up to this. He's starting his teleport already. They have no way to stop him unless D&D gets in there.
Nope, that's a save. JLU, and again, he doesn't have to worry about using that teleport later because he's already here at the Dragon Pit. Again, no inhibitors down. That's gonna be the final hour burned extremely early as Miracle gets jumped on. Petrifying Gaze also misses. That's gonna be the Glacial Fissure finding everyone as Gregory looks on the other side, but a big showstopper brings everyone into the team fight. This is a wipe coming out for Team Solid, and look at Shane so late to the party, dancing right in the middle. He's gonna be taken out. The concussive blows take it. A double kill for Vi, a double kill for Triple Lift, and would you know it, an easy and clean 5-for-0 ace.
So well played there by the side of Team Solid. Just look at the health bars here. Almost everyone, the lowest they have is JLU, and he still has over 50% of his health. Gigantic Stow Shopper. Huge face breaker, bringing the entire team together, and Triple Lift just says, I'll take that, I'll take that. It's like he's going shopping here and deciding, you know what, I'll take the half-off deal on the Veigar.
I mean, what better analogy? That's perfectly timed, right? I mean, just walking in, he final houred, I think, like 3 seconds earlier than most other people would. Didn't even see anyone on the map, just ran him down. And I want to say, I think the team coordination was amazing because you saw Shane literally on their tail. He was walking behind and the rest of the team said, we don't care about him, keep moving on the 4 members, right? Like, that is some teamwork and shot calling if I've ever seen it.
Without a doubt, we talked about it already, and right now we are seeing a decisive victory so far, what it looks to be in the hands of Team Solid. This is their game to lose. They are over 10k cold ahead, 1.5 rather at this point, and I always like to use big item spikes to put into perspective. In this sense, I like to think of Rabadon's Death Cap, right? One of the biggest ability power items. That's 3,600 gold. You could buy over 4 of them with the lead that Team Solid has right now.
Yeah, 1 for the Vayne, 1 for the Cassiopeia, 1 for Set somehow, and 1 for Vi, I guess. We'll go with that. Just everyone gets a hat, you know, just run out there, have some fun with the purple hat itself. But again, massive leads all around, and if it weren't for those 8 deaths, this would be a perfect game for Team Solid. We see 2 death stands as well on the top in jungle, so massive ways to stay alive. We see the pressure on the bottom side occurring once again. Baron has worn off, but I feel this is do or die right now for the side of Wulfpack Exile.
And right now, all they have to defend is ADKC. He does have the Infernum. It is the best wave clear weapon that Aphelios has to offer. But meanwhile, while the Baron buff is run out, you have Infernal Soul. Every little poke will chunk you out, and there's so little sustain. And right now, at this point, Wulfpack has to concede that tower. They have to start to clear the other lanes and prevent their base from being overtaken.
Absolutely, and now we have to look, I mean, where do Wulfpack Exile try and fight? They're up against the wall. This is their last chance. They got to make something happen here, it feels.
And it has to happen either at the Nexus Towers or at this one right here. You don't want to lose that third inhib, especially with Baron coming up. Look how the minions are pushing into this base. There's so little that Wulfpack can do. Right now it's 4v5 if they choose to fight. And with Baron coming up, if you have 3 inhibs down, minions pushing in, that might as well be game over.
Wave now crashing into the zone. Event Horizon catches 3. They do get the hook on the front as well, but the Petrifying Gaze does land onto 3. Split fight all the way around. Moonlight Vigil is able to take out the Vayne, and this might be the fight that they want. Greggy now dancing right in the middle, and Team Solid might not be as solid as they think. Triple kill for the Vayne, but JLU is still up. Haymaker claiming the 4th in this fight. 7 members down across the entirety of the teams. And the 3rd inhibitor is soon to follow as Miracle, trying to create his name for his team.
And this could very well be the game. Baron already spawned. If they don't finish this push right now, they will shortly, but it looks like this is it. Miracle has to do just what you said. He's trying to fight the Brawl in the set, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Not at all. The game has been made. Very well played to Team Solid, looking amazing in game number 2. 0 towers lost, only 11 deaths, Dragon's Soul, and every single global to their name. Fantastic job.
Such a dominant showing here on the side of Team Solid. They did exactly as you mentioned, finding each and every global objective, knowing the limits of their characters, and despite those deaths, they served a purpose. First, the Cloud Drake, 2 going down, but getting the Drake, leading to that Soul, setting up for that final push. And even at the very end, while 3 members died, while the set and the Braum got low, they killed all 4 other members, and a Graves is not enough to defend 3 inhibs down.
Not at all. And I want to bring it back to the early stages because game number 1, like we kept pointing out, 20 minutes in, it was a stalemate. These teams were so neck and neck. And yet in this one, we saw multiple solo lane deaths. We saw top lane, Set and Renekton going at it 1 for 1, blow for blow. In the mid lane, probably the largest disparity. I think we saw 3 solo kills come out by your move on the Cassiopeia on the Veigar. And then bottom lane, of course, we couldn't go without talking about Triple getting 3-0 in that bottom lane at only about 7 minutes.
And that's what we were saying. You can't afford to be making those mistakes. You even see it in pro games. It is an anomaly to see those solo kills. It's why certain people who've gotten so many make their names famous. This shouldn't have happened this game.
I'm speechless, right? We went from such an absurd, slow-paced game to such an immaculate, quick game from these 2 top teams. And I mean, looking at it, do you think this is showing the disparity between the 3 top teams in their division right now?
I absolutely believe that if nothing else, it shows that Team Solid is the team to watch. We saw a dominant showing, Triple Lift doing exactly what the AD carry needs to be doing, hitting from the backline, knowing when to go in. We saw he had no fear going to that team fight where Shane was flanking them. Sure, there was a Croc behind him, but he had his eyes on the prize. He went in, followed JLU, and each member of this team worked like a well-oiled machine this match to win the game.
Yeah, and finally, looking at these 2 games overall, I do want to get your opinion. We had multiple members stand out in both games, but I want to ask, who do you think was the MVP for the side of Team Solid in this series?
Honestly, I wanted at first to say Triple Lift from the consistent damage, your move from the solo kills and the picks, but honestly, I'm looking at Greggy. Very consistent performance, both on the Trundle and the Vi, knew when to go for those objectives, found those early dragons each time, and especially in that first game, was ruthless hunting after Miracle and set the J4 so far behind that he was almost never able to come back.
All right, well, there you go, Greggy, MVP of tonight's series in the Upsurge minor leagues. And with that, we do see Team Solid moving on to 5-1 in the league, taking first place so far. And we do see Wulfpack Exiled dropping down to 4-2. They will have to battle for that second place spot next week. So that is going to be it here for the UML and for the rest of the League of Legends leagues across the board. Thank you so much for tuning in. But remember, we still have more League of Legends and action over this weekend. I believe we do have Rainbow Six going on over the weekend. And next week, we will see the finale for multiple leagues. Week 7 coming in for UCL and UML. So you don't want to miss that. But thank you so much for tuning in. My name has been Orbital. I was joined here by Jacket. Thank you so much for tuning into the UML and have a fantastic evening.